I found a park a few miles from my house and there's like nobody here. I'm kind of nervous though because there's a bunch of bugs and like those blind beetles that be out during the summer that's flying around, but that's besides the fact. I have been in this state of mind where every time I get rejected from something, I realize that it's probably protecting me from something, especially within this job market and within opportunities, and just thinking that I need to take everything that comes my way, and that's not true. I don't think you need to take every single opportunity that comes in your lap because you never know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And last time that I took an opportunity where I thought, okay, this is perfect for me, it ended up not being perfect. And I just want to talk about that a little bit because I have always thought that when you get rejected from something, it was a bad thing. And I know a lot of us think that all the time, that when we get rejected from something that it disappoints us or we get upset by it. But what I've come to realize is that every time I've been rejected from something, it was because it was not meant to be. But also on top of that, it's because I was being protected from something. I remember when I first got this job that I was really excited for. And I was like doing multiple interviews, and like this was a few years ago. And I was doing multiple interviews and I was talking to people and I was like, okay, this is perfect. Like the pay wasn't that great, but it was a great stepping stone into doing something that I knew I wanted to do. And I was getting frustrated because I was like, okay, I know that I'm getting rejected from all these other jobs and this opportunity is in my lap. Maybe I should just take it, not really trusting in and having faith in God and knowing that like, oh, okay, if I don't move or I don't keep, going for other things, I'm just gonna have to take whatever I can get at this point. And that's kind of why I'm talking about it now, because I'm like in a stage where it's like, I know I can't do that because again, this job market is crazy. But I was working at this place and everything was good at the beginning. Like I thought everything was perfect. Like I liked my coworkers and I was just, going with the flow. Like I was able to get a lot of work done. And mind you, COVID really changed a lot of things. So this was like right before COVID was like really, really serious that I started having the interviews, and then I ended up getting the job during that same time. But the thing that frustrated me the most was that I knew that it was going to be a hard job, and I just accepted anything when I was still having interviews at other places. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take this because, they're doing something that I enjoy. It's going to look good on my resume, so on and so forth. But that place ended up being hell. That place ended up being very, very chaotic, and I did not have a good time there. And at first it was fine, but then gradually I just started noticing like big red flags from the things that my coworkers would say and like the toxicity. And I was the only one that was driving like hours and hours away to get to the office when everyone else would show up late or they would be able to work from home. And I just was like, that's not fair. Like, why am I the only one that's driving this far? Then on top of that, it was just like almost like they were trying to push me out. Like whenever I would because this is a creative job. And whenever I would like bring up subjects or bring up ideas, it was like all of mine would go to the back burner. Even though me and the other person that I was working with, like as a team, we were like some of the main people doing the most work there. Like we were always on top of it. We were always every day, like trying to bring in, new influencers to create content with us and so on and so forth. And me and her worked really hard. She was super dedicated and that made me more dedicated, but they didn't even notice that. And then that's when things started to take a turn. And next thing you know, they laid off everyone except for me and like 2 other people. You can't run a company with only a few people. That's like one major thing that I've noticed is like you can't, even in startups and stuff like that, you need to have multiple people in your company. Like that's that. Okay, so when you don't have enough people to help the business keep growing and you're not hiring people because you laid everyone off, that's a huge telltale sign that something is wrong. Let alone they laid off all the women. And I was the token black guy. And I know right now you're probably like, oh my gosh, how did you just ignoring all the red flags? Yeah, because again, I just took whatever. And that's why I'm like letting you guys know that rejection really is protection, because that place was so bad, but I ended up leaving because they laid everyone off, and I was going to be laid off next from what I found out. But it got so bad and I was so stressed out that I ended up having 2 stress-induced seizures and ended up having to go into the hospital. Which is very crazy, and I still, even when I think about it to this day. But it's funny because the next job that I went to, I did the same thing again. And I guess like that's how hard-headed I am, that I don't really learn my lesson when it comes to like understanding that, you know, rejection really is protection. Because even when I left there, this next company had layoffs too. They were very toxic. I couldn't get my work done. And this is a top line, like a lot of people know this company. I have like mutuals, like creative mutuals that still do stuff with them, and they don't even know like what happens behind the scenes. And again, that's something that I've always had to have this conversation with God, like, okay, now I'm in this market where I keep getting rejected from like one thing after another after another. And I've noticed that everything that I've been rejected from has been from either a company that's laid off, a company that's being sued. Like, we're in crazy times right now when it comes to the labor force. But every rejection that I got has protected me from not dealing with that again for the 3rd time. And stuff has always happened to me in threes. So that's why I've like always noticed like, okay, each time that I'm getting rejected from this 3rd thing, it's like saying like, no, you're not about to deal with that same stuff that you used to deal with before. And I think that's what's most important to me right now when it comes to finding my next movement or finding my next thing, because I would love to do this full time. I think I have what it takes, but there's a time and place, and like I have to be patient when it comes to creating content and making videos. But I'm scared because I know that I still have a lot of work to do on my belt when it comes to my career, especially at this point in my life. I'm 29. I feel like I haven't really got my career started yet. I've had a lot to do within the past decade, in the past 12 years of my, you know, creativeness. And thank God I've been able to do so many things within the past decade to build up my, you know, rapport, my portfolio, and my resume. But it's crazy because a lot of people don't see your worth. And I know my worth, and I'm not going to keep going for places and keep applying to places that keep rejecting me, because obviously God is trying to protect me from something that I'm not supposed to be put through again. Because I've been through hell and high water with these companies. Like, it's been bad, like extremely bad, and I'm not putting myself through that again. Like, people don't understand that, you know, a job is a job. I get it. But when you deal with homophobia, racism, sexism, ageism, all that is so detrimental to your mental health. And I'm not gonna kill myself over no job. I'm not gonna kill myself over no job. Like, what? All this is to say that if you truly believe that something isn't meant for you, it's okay to walk away from it. You don't have to succumb or be in this mindset where it's like, okay, I have to just take what I can, because everything usually works out in your favor if you really believe in it. I have always told myself that no matter what, if I'm constantly going for things that I know are good for me, then they'll be good for me. But if I'm just having this mindset and having this like mindset of lacking, then I know I'm going to end up having something that's not meant for me, and that's going to be bad, and then it's going to be a lesson that I was supposed to learn. And I know in life we're all supposed to learn all these lessons, but you're supposed to learn from those previous ones too. And I'm not putting myself through that anymore. I just can't do that. I have always believed that being rejected from something is protecting you from something, and that it's important. Well, the thing is that I haven't always believed in that. I've always been like 50-50 about it. But the older that I get and the more that I experience and the things that I go through, I'm starting to realize, okay, yeah, definitely being rejected from certain things is protecting me from something that I know I shouldn't be going through. I have been through so much, even within just these past few years, where it's like, I know I'm being protected from something. Like, even when it comes down to not just jobs, even though mostly it's been jobs and like applying to places, but even when it comes down to like opportunities that have been placed in my lap, like with certain companies wanting to work with me and then finding out that these companies support bad people. Or working with certain creators and finding out that these creators are racist. And there's been so many instances where I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I rejected that. I'm glad that I was rejected from that, because it really has protected me from something that I know I had no business being a part of. And so that's just something that I really want to reiterate to you, is that rejection really is protection. And you have to believe in that. You have to believe that whatever you're rejected from, not even that, but rejection is always a redirection. Like, it's going to redirect you into something that you are truly meant to be, like it's what's truly meant for you. It's going to redirect you exactly into what is meant for you. You won't have to deal with all of these problems that you dealt with before if you just trust in that. If you trust that whatever you're going through, whatever is meant for you is going to be meant for you, and that rejection is going to redirect you into your purpose. I'm mostly reiterating this to myself because I know right now, which I'm doing another video in the future about this. It's going to be a long one, but it's about the job market right now and like how a lot of us have been like suffering through this mess. But I try to have my like ups and downs, and I have my ups and downs when it comes to the days of like me having to interview and deal with this and deal with that. But what is most important is that I know that whatever is meant for me is going to come. I can't keep stressing about jobs and what's not meant for me. So from now on, I'm telling myself that whatever I'm rejected from, that's fine. I'm going to keep moving, and whatever is meant for me is meant for me. And the same is to you. Whatever is meant for you is meant for you. You have to remember that whatever is meant for you is meant for you. And your destiny is solid, and your purpose is important. So just keep going for what is meant for you, and you will be totally fine. And remember that rejection is redirection and protection at the same time.